Hide the Plug. Don't Hide the Plug is an apparel company co-founded by two brothers from Flatbush, Tafari and Rossi Harper. Now, these two black brothers have created an amazing, inspiring, high-quality brand. Now, you see on Infominds, a lot of our content is New York-based. We love New York, so it's only fitting that we partner up with a New York-based brand. Don't Hide the Plug. Now, they got some fire fitted hats, hoodies, T-shirts, and I'm feeling the old New York design with the bridge logo. They got the clout joints, the dad hats, and you can also have them delivered to you in the resealable merch by the pound bags, too. Now, mind you, they might be New York-based, but their apparel is for everyone, whether you're from New York, Miami, Texas, Chicago. It's a grassroots movement. Get in tune. And they offer free shipping on all domestic orders of $75 or more. But if you enter the exclusive Infominds promo code, you'll get an additional 10% off at checkout. You already know I ordered my package. My package is on its way. So I'll be wearing and showcasing the Don't Hide the Plug apparel in my next live. Go out and support these brothers. Check out their website. I put the link in the description box. Don't Hide the Plug.
You are now watching episode 2 of Writer's Block, how to rap and write songs with your boy, Roaster. You already know the vibe.
Shoot a block, shoot a block. All my niggas won't cook up.
You already know the vibe. Salute to everybody tuning in right now. Salute to everybody tuning in right now. You already know the slogan of the block. Here on the block, ain't no beef. Everybody's welcome on the block. To be a part of our block, all you got to do, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bells on to make sure that you're notified when we drop new content. Okay, today's episode now, we're going to be going into, drum rolls, we're going to be going into Make Every Word Count. On our last episode, we talked about what is a 16. We went into metronomes. You could see that on Uda Block now. You can go back and check out that episode. But today we're going to go into Make Every Word Count. As artists, a lot of times we settle for less, right? What separates the great artists is that they push themselves to another level of writing or creation, whatever form of creating that they create. They push themselves past that point of breaking, past that wall. When you get writer's block and stuff like that, you got to be able to push your pen past that wall. Now, what I mean by make every word count, right? You know, sometimes as artists, we tend to, let's say you get down to the end of your verse sometimes and you don't really know what to put there. And then you just throw something there, any old thing there. You just say, and it's just at the end. Let me just throw this there. Don't do that. You know, don't do that. I never do that, actually. You know, I like to say the best thing from the beginning to the very end. You know, when you're doing that, it's like you got this beautiful crib and you're setting this up in this living room, this beautiful living room. You set it all up and you got the mantelpiece now. And then you just go throw some shit up there or something, anything up there. You know, the mantelpiece is supposed to be something that just tops it all off. You know, something that at the end, it just makes everything that came before it worthwhile. You see what I'm saying? So today we're going to go into metaphors, similes, double entendres, puns, different things like that. I came up with this segment for a young kid that I know named Justin. He's from Brooklyn. He's a 12-year-old rapper. And every time I used to see him, he always used to come to me and tell me, like, ask me questions about rap and ask me different questions about flows and different things. I haven't seen him as much through COVID and everything. His mom doesn't let him outside as much now. But he had contacted me. He saw one of my live streams and he contacted me and he told me, he said, why can't you just do a live stream and teach me? And, you know, you could teach other people as well. You know, it wasn't something that I was really thinking about, but, you know, I said, I'll do it, you know, so that's why we're here now. And this is why I came up with this segment that's going to be on my Uda Block network called Writer's Block, how to rap and write songs with me, Roaster. right? So now we're going to go into metaphors, similes, puns, and double entendres, the official double entendres. You know, he always used to come to me and say, you know, how I say hot lines, or he called them hot lines, right? But you know, you would call them punch lines or like bars or different things like that. He was just calling them hot lines and stuff. But he didn't really understand what what goes into these hot lines, what makes a hot line, you know? So I'm gonna go into a metaphor first, right? A metaphor, right, is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or an action to which it is not literally applicable. So, a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or an action to which it is not literally applicable, right? So this is the difference in between a metaphor and a simile. I'm going to be going into a simile next, right? Because a simile compares every way, right? So let's go into another definition and another breakdown of what a metaphor is so we can start to understand how we can go about using metaphors, using similes, using puns and double entendres in rapping and writing lyrics and writing bars, you know? Sometimes people just don't know how to go about doing this, right? It's an art to it. It's an art and it's something that I've studied, right? So a metaphor is a figure of speech that is used to make a comparison between two things that aren't alike, but do have something in common, unlike a simile, where two things are compared directly using like or as. A metaphor's comparison is more indirect, usually made by stating something is something else. A metaphor is very expressive. It is not meant to be taken literally. Okay, once again, a metaphor is very expressive. It is not to be taken literally. You may have to work a little to find the meaning in a metaphor, right? So now I'm gonna give you some examples of what a metaphor is, right? Let's go into what a metaphor is. Let's go into some examples of what a metaphor is, right? The snow is a white blanket. He is a shining star. Her long hair was a flowing golden river. Tom's eyes were ice as he stared at her. The children were flowers grown in concrete gardens. Kisses are the flowers of affection. The fallen snowflakes are dancers. The calm lake was a mirror, right? So it's comparing two things that has something similar, but it's not equally compared, right? Like the snow is a white blanket, but without using like and as. When you're using like and as, that's a simile. Sometimes you hear it and you be like, damn, that was a dope metaphor. But when you're using like and as, that is what you would call a simile, right? So let's go into similes. Excuse me, right? Let's go into similes a little bit. What is a simile, right? A simile. A simile is a figure of speech involving the comparison of one thing with another thing of a different kind used to make a description more emphatic or more vivid. Brave as a lion, crazy as a fox. You see what I mean by simile? And a simile, once again, uses like and as. So when you comparing something and you use like and as, this is a simile, right? And I'll give you an example of some similes so you can understand how to like put similes together, right? And then you can make your own. Some of these similes are used, right, in writing. You were as brave as a lion. They fought like cats and dogs. He is as funny as a barrel of monkeys. This house is as clean as a whistle. We've all heard that one before, right? He is as strong as an ox. Your explanation is as clear as mud. Watching the show was like watching the grass grow. It was like taking so slow, and the show just dragging on. It's like watching grass grow. If you sit and watch grass grow, you'll never see it grow, right? So this is the example that they're making in this simile. So this is how you get to learn how to use a simile in a verse, right? So now let's go into what a pun is, right? A pun is a joke exploiting the different possible meanings of a word, or the fact that there are words which sound alike but have different meanings. I'm going to give you an example of that, right? I'm going to give you an example of that right now. Let's check this out, right? This is an example of puns, right? For example, a river and tears aren't very alike. One is a body of water in nature, while the other can be produced by our eyes. They do have one thing in common, though. Both are types of water that flows. A metaphor uses this similarity to help the writer make a point. Her tears were a river flowing down her cheeks. You see the pun in that? As a river is so much larger than a few tears, the metaphor is a creative way of saying that the person is crying a lot. There are so many tears that they remind the writer of a river, right? Metaphors help writers and poets make a point in more interesting ways. They also help the reader see something from a new perspective by describing tears as a river. For example, the writer found a creative way to describe how great the girl's sadness was and help the reader see the similarity between tears and a river. So you get how they're using a pun and how a pun is used. And once again, what a pun is a joke that makes a play on words. A pun makes use of words that have more than one meaning, or words that sound similar but have different meanings to humorous effects. The rhetorical term for punning is paramasia, which literally means to call by a different name, right? So these are puns. So these are the things that great artists are using. They're using metaphors, they're using similes, they're using puns. If you want to be a great artist, a great rapper, especially because rap is founded on punchlines, hard lyrics, different things like that, then you need to understand how to construct similes, how to construct metaphors, how to construct puns. And the next thing that I'm going into, which a lot of people don't know about and sometimes is kind of unheard of, which are the double entendres, right? What is a double entendre? A double entendre is an open word or phrase open to two interpretations, one of which is usually risque or indecent. A word or phrase open to two interpretations, one of which is usually risque or indecent. This is what a double entendre is. Jay-Z is famous for using a lot of double entendres. When you get the like similes and stuff like that, another reason why I say, before I elaborate more on the double entendre, another reason why I say to push your pen, right, is because I'll use somebody for example. Let's say Big. I'll use Biggie, right? I'll use Big for example. But yeah, I'm gonna make a point. Let me just remember this slide that I'm gonna get back to. It's the third slide. I'm gonna get back to it, right? I make a point like this, Big, right? Why you should push your pen. This is a point that I'm gonna make, right? In 1993, right? Notorious Big, okay, Big, B-I-G, forever, right? He never died. He living. He's still here with us. Notorious Big in 1993. He said, "Oh my God, I'm dropping shit like a pigeon." And back in '93, that shit was hot. That shit was fire. They like, oh, you can drop shit like a pigeon. It's cool. It's all right. In 1996, right? This is a simile once again, because some people might have thought this was a metaphor. You might have thought this was a pun. You might have thought this was a double entendre. No, this is a simile. When you're using like, as, and another one, when you're using more than, is also a simile, right? So he said, "Oh my God, I'm dropping shit like a pigeon." And in 1996, right, he said, "I drop unexpectedly like bird shit." That's fire. You know what I'm saying? He updated his bar. You know what I mean? Great artists update their music, update their bars. You know what I'm saying? You think of music or you think of something at the time as you see it. As your perspective changes, as you get better at a craft, as you get better at it, automatically that's going to change. So now you see things different and you see things through a different lens. You see things through a different scope now. So it's like, damn, you go listen back to something or you might catch a vibe and say, you know what? Damn, I could flip that. You know what I'm saying? So when you do think of sometimes similes or metaphors and you come up with something, two comparisons of something, try to flip it to get it the most tightest to the point that each side equals up perfectly. Because sometimes people say similes